Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon or Mulus on Discord.
This is Parker. Go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy. Go by Jeremy on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood.
You go by what?
I knew this was going to happen.
Treffenwood.
That's his Discord handle.
When I look on Discord, the name clearly says Degenerate.
Yeah, well, that's his nickname for the channel.
Yes, that's only my channel nickname. If you right click DM me, I guarantee it'll show something different.
Okay.
God, you guys
I'm
are
sure
so...
it's some Dritz to Orden fucking inside joke.
You guys are like hackers or something.
Kind of. It is from a fantasy series.
The amount of time it took you to figure out that Discord had direct messaging astounds me. Like, I am legitimately concerned for you moving into this age of technology. Because I was like, I sent it to you, you're like, you have not sent me anything. And you finally, with my direction, get to direct messages on Discord. And you've got like 35 unread messages for me. I'm like, oh my god, Jeremy, you are the worst.
Are you talking about me?
Yes. Did you not realize that? You're like, I still don't know what a message is.
When you say DM, is that some sort of dick joke? I don't understand it.
It's dick measurement. That's
dick
what I say.
Measurement.
It's a dick measurement.
Yeah, that's not... Look, yo,
I send it to you
that
daily just to update you on what the new measurement is.
Okay, so I know this is a bit of a segue. We're on something right now. But speaking of acronyms that can be misconstrued, some of my middle school students today, I sent them a clip from a very famous British documentarist and scientist. He's doing this really cool thing with a vacuum chamber, and on the bottom corner of the screen it says BBC, and one of the middle school kids turns to the other middle school kid and goes like totally Beavis and Butthead, and I go, really? And he goes, yeah, you know what it means? I go, British Broadcasting Company, and he goes, oh. It just didn't occur to him like it could be anything else. But I just love that he thought for a moment that Big Black Cox was not only a television network, but they put it on embossed in the corner during their documentary series.
Wait. That's what that means? I need to stop sending that to people.
Yeah, you should definitely stop sending that to people.
There's educational trolls as well.
Yeah, safe search on people at home.
All right.
I just like to imagine there was one guy just at his computer listening. He's like, "Oh, BBC experiment," and they're just like, and he decides to BBC experiment.
Whoops!
It's like, oh my god! Like, so safe search on people.
Yeah, safe search on.
Or not. It's an option.
Yeah. I remember I as soon as I clicked the enter button, I realized what I had done at work one day, and I was like, because I was trying to restock playmat tubes, and the company we carried, I told Jeremy this, the company we carried at the time was Monster, so I typed in Monster tubes into my search bar to see which distributors carried them, and as soon as I pressed enter, I was like, I just closed my eyes and went, God damn it. And I opened my eyes, I was like, yep, that's what I expected. Like,
what's the worst that could happen?
What could go wrong? All right. Moving into announcements for today. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to episode 1 of season 2, Infamous. We're doing a couple things differently. Stick with it. It's going to be magical.
Mm-hmm.
Parker, you owe me 695 episodes of podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll be allowed to retire. When that number gets to 0, you can stop.
I thought would it be 694? I thought it was 695 when I showed up. Did you already take it down?
No, I just clicked it down.
Got it.
Oh god. I'm getting exploded.
I
don't know how many times I have to explain this.
No, I don't want big tubes.
Exactly. Yeah. Take me off your list.
When you when you send someone a message like, "Hey, just I have this covered, but just it's a situation," and then they go, what do I need to do about it? It's like, nothing. And then they message you again, like, but what can I do? Nothing. Don't do anything. He's like, just tell me what I need to do. It's like, dear God, I'm going to kill you.
Makes you wonder why you keep anybody.
But not really. You're not really going to kill
them. I should just not speak words to people, but then I feel bad for not communicating.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on, just a heads up reminder for everybody. We have the Midwest Melee coming up on September 3rd. It's going to be at the Geekery in Shawnee, Kansas. If you're within driving distance of Kansas City and you want to play some Marvel Crisis Protocol, that is a qualifying event for the Las Vegas Open, please come.
You don't have
just please come in general. Just please come. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
We have brand new mats made by Muson Minis that will be probably debuting on their website sometime soon. They are not yet available to the public, but we have them. They're super cool. If you've ever watched our battle reports on YouTube, which by the way we have, they are the same mats as those, but they are pre-marked with deployment and objectives. All right, well that's all I had for today for announcements. So let's move into the news. Hey, news! Yes. News! All right, Parker, do we have any news?
No news is good news. We were just sitting here waiting patiently for, I guess, what would it be next? We already know what Shield's doing. We already know what Malekith's doing. Is it the mutants they mentioned?
I can check, but the news would be if Red Skull's going to actually release with the rest of the
there you
models.
go. There you go. Red Skull.
Could be fun. No, he is still.
Sentinels would be next, right? So we're just waiting patiently for Sentinels.
Oh, I don't think Sentinels are next. I think there's a lot of stuff before Sentinels.
Well, really?
Asmodee just published the picture of Sentinels onto their webpage as opposed to the Mini Stravaganza stream. So that may indicate that they are after Red Skull.
That could be cool. I was under the impression they'd be later, but that would still be cool.
I would have thought they'd be after Blob and Pyro, but and Logan Sabretooth, but I could be wrong.
Aaron,
there's still no, just real quick, there's still no date for Red Skull.
Aaron, I think the Sentinels are going to be my Malekith. I think I'm just going to drop whatever I'm doing and tell everybody back off. I want Sentinels. I'm going to do Sentinels. Really excited.
That's going to be real unfortunate when they don't show up, air quotes, and I get all of them.
If you can play 8 Sentinels, I will be taking out a loan and I will be buying 8 Sentinels. We'll do that.
You just want to play Cassandra Nova that much?
I have played Cassandra Nova so many times trying to make that pitch work. Oh.
Turns out all she needs is some robots?
All that she needed was I think it would be wonderful if the Sentinel box comes with a Cassandra Nova card that's just fucking bonkers great. Like just to bail her out. I think that'd be wonderful. But that was the news. No news.
So yeah, what we know of the Sentinels sounds interesting. I'm still concerned that they're going to be impossible to balance because they're either going to be oppressive if you play 3 of them because it's going to be 3 expensive models in one list, or they're just going to be terrible because 3 expensive models doesn't really work from a design standpoint. If 3 expensive models work, then models like Magneto, Malekith, and Doctor Strange would be running around all over the place. And so I'm just worried that they'll make them overpowered to try and make them still function within like the scenario environment, or they will be way too bad because they just like functionally it's too hard to make that work. So it's gonna be interesting how they try and toe that line.
So here's my really quick, just because you said something about it, hot take that we won't discuss now, but maybe in a future episode. MCP would be in a better place with no 6th threat or higher characters in the game.
All right, I'll write it down.
I would love to talk about that. So, listeners, hold your breath.
Yep, it'll be on the list. We'll talk about it at some point. It's probably when Sentinels start getting leaked. Okay, let's move into our next topic. We have currently playing. Jeremy, what have you been playing lately?
Still messing with X-Men. It's all kind of about bunch of 3-point models and then what do you drop in with it. Yeah, that's what I've been playing. I ran into Malekith a couple times with X-Men and I'm kind of fumbling about trying to figure out what best way that they need to handle it. And I think it's just more bodies, honestly. I don't think that there's any beaters that I need to put in there. I think the 3-pointers with a 2-point as well is the way to do it. But that's what I've been working on.
Go wide as a general concept. It seems like it's the safest thing to do against Malekith.
I was gonna say X-Men can go. They used to kind of go wide very poorly, but now they can do it very well.
No, they're pretty good at it.
They have a lot of good tools.
They have good cards to do it. I mean, they've got lots of good things. It's just not the way I love to play, and because Malekith is hot right now, along with Hulk,
he's so hot right now.
there's kind of some incentives for me to go, okay, well, if I want to play X-Men and play, competitively, these are some things to do. I'm just learning X-Men still.
All right. Aaron, what is your current list?
So I have two. One is for fun at the store, and that's going to be Winter Guard. Just give them a shot. Put them on the table once. It went horribly, but that's because it was a D scenario, and they have a lot of interesting support jank. But when you spread out and that jank doesn't happen, might not go so well. So anyway, my fun list is Winter Guard, and then TTS Season 8 Part 2 is Sam Avengers with Malekith. So we'll see how that goes. First game next week.
Is Malekith like you switch to Cabal with Malekith? Or do you actually just put
I
Malekith
have
in Steve Avengers?
the option to run Cabal. It's 5 Avengers, 4 Cabal, and Juggernaut.
I see.
It's really because I want Luke Cage with Malekith, depending on the scenario, and then it's hard to get that to work in Cabal. But if I run Sam Avengers, I can run Sam, Luke Cage, Malekith plus extra, and it's affiliated.
There are also a lot of tiny Cabal members that do well in Sam Avengers too, I think.
Yep, and obviously, if the points allow, you have your core 17 is going to be Malekith, and then Sam, Iron Man, Luke Cage. I guess that's 16. But at that point, you've got Heroes for Hire, Ricochet Blast, Helios Laser, Midnight Phantasmagoria, and Avengers Assemble. I mean, there's just lots of great synergy with those 4 models to be able to do whatever they want and keep Malekith alive.
Have you considered Red Guardian at all instead of Luke Cage?
I threw this list together right before rosters were due, so that would be a consideration. I did not at the time.
Okay. Cool. Moving on, I'll go me next. I have been playing Convocation when I do get time to play. I've been really busy lately, so unfortunately I've been very low on the game count. My Convocation list has slightly changed for the first time in probably 3 months.
Sork Supreme taking a bench seat?
Yeah, I definitely cut him, you fucking psycho. Alright, so the change I made was I cut Magic, finally. We've talked about me cutting her for a while now, but I just never could find something to replace her with. So I have Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Ebony Maw, Ghost Rider, Doc Voodoo, Blade, Mordo, Clea, Hood, Wong. The new model is the Ancient One. And so Ancient One is aimed as an experimental tool against Malekith. Part of the reason is she's got a good energy and mystic defense. She has martial artist, so she gets the blanks against energy, which nullifies his pierce. She also gets to reroll her defense dice. So she's 3 dice with blanks with rerolls against his attack. She's also 6 hit points. It's really hard for him to one-shot her. I think he can probably still get her with a double attack, but it's close at least. Like, you can get lucky. Also, with the Convocation leadership, she can potentially place out of range. So if he's charging in to hit her and then she places out of range too, it can potentially get her out, but not always. Or alternatively, if you're doing the reroll, she gets a 3rd reroll on defense if you're attacking her and she hasn't activated yet. She also has a auto stagger attack with her spender, so that's cool too.
Yeah, also
and
crits
also
don't work.
It ignores crits. Yeah, that was Parker
Sh-
beat me to it. Ignoring crits on 8 die attack that auto staggers is like the last thing he wants to get hit by.
Yeah.
And it only costs 4, so it's not impossible for her to get to. She also can advance him if he attacks her, so she can. Actually, I think if you have the power to spend for the wins to push him short, and then she places as a result of the damage, I don't know if, assuming that he doesn't bump anything, I think it's impossible for him to end in melee with her after both of those movements, if there's space to move him. And you resolve the push, so.
One of the cool things about her is that if somebody bases you and you attack her, she can still push you through her, right? Isn't that right?
Because the pushing model is ignored for contact.
Right, so you can just send them behind you, and then
she suplexes the bog tigers, like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And then she, like, whoop, and runs the other way.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So that's cool. I did used to run, what was the name of the card? A Journey Through Limbo, and so I cut that because obviously Magic's not in the list anymore. So I'm running Brace, Patch Up, A Bar with No Doors, Plane of Poldock, Ironbound Books, Shush, Hood's Gang, Book of Cagliostro, Deal with the Devil, and I've added Eye on the Prize. And so Eye on the Prize is for the worthy mission, so Strange can get 2 books on the first turn without having to take Clea or having priority. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to play it. I am not really a big fan of Ancient One, because I never felt she filled a role, and I prefer, I think Blade is a great 4-pointer in the affiliation, so I've never really needed a 4-point slot with her. But now that I think she has a tool against Malekith, because I think Convocation specifically is going to struggle against Malekith, so we'll see. They're weak to energy in general, and they rely on rerolls on offense, so those are 2 things that do not like Malekith. All right, Parker, what have you been playing lately?
I've still been playing Inhumans and really, really enjoying it. There are 2 character slots in it that I'm still staring at. I don't know what to do. I've put all different kinds of things in it, like Honey Badger and X-23, but they don't really work. I think Inhumans like Inhumans a lot. They usually like a 1 splash character, maybe 2, and so and since if you get my red missions, I have all the single extracts, then Black Cat feels so great that she takes up one of the slots. Ghost Rider feels so great in them. He often takes up one of the slots. So it's hard to take 2 other out of affiliation characters. So because your out of affiliation characters are sometimes feel so good with those 2, then I'm trying to figure out, like, what do you splash in the list? What do they not do really well? And I haven't really identified that yet. Still trying to figure out precisely what I want. So I've considered putting Ronin with the Power Stone back in, just because he is a cool power generator if I didn't want Ghost Rider. For example, I want to be affiliated to use maybe another good guy. But still trying to figure out who's best last. But I think Inhumans, I really enjoy playing Inhumans. For the main reason by far is people don't know what Inhumans do. They're slept on so hard that no one knows. And so when I do something with them, they go, they could do that. Like, I hear that so much. If it's and the combination of passive rerolls and perfect knowledge power manipulation is it's not just background noise. It is something that enables win conditions. So I've been very, very pleased with what they do. The hardest part of them right now is probably on getting the list down on the board that I'm really excited about playing, and that's primarily Black Bolt. Black Bolt is a 5-point turret, and it just takes up a lot of the list space. He's fantastic. He's really good. Worth 5 points, I think. But it makes it difficult to build a list with a lot of flexibility in it. So
cool. All right, well, that's going to feed us right into our main topic. Parker wanted to know how to build a good list because he's going to go to a tournament this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said, right? That was the topic.
I'm going to a tournament, yep, and I wanted your guys' opinion. I could keep playing what I've been playing because I played it a bunch. Basically, my question is this: is playing a sleeper faction like Inhumans, which I feel now very confidently that I can play Inhumans at a level that will enable me to take advantage of the fact that my opponent does not know what I'm doing. Like, my opponent will be surprised. So is that by itself worth enough to take? Or should I put it down for a faction that everyone agrees is strong, but everybody has played it 18 times with it and against it?
I mean, are you trying to win, or are you trying to climb a mountain that no one's climbed before?
I'm trying to win, and I think...
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
I think... I mean...
So Jeremy, you're saying that you think that there's a big enough power scale in this game that you can't just take whatever you want to a tournament and expect to do well?
Correct. And the single reason isn't necessarily that Inhumans and the models they have are bad or not even good. I think that they are great. They do not have a signature tactics card, and they have a monstrously expensive leader. So those 2 things handicap you. Everyone else that's competitive right now has a tactics card that changes the game, and a leader that is of value. So you can go wide and you can do really, really strong shit. Just being good doesn't win you that last game, or it doesn't carry you 5 games through. maybe 4, but I just don't see it doing 5.
Mhm.
So
I remember
tactic.
at
Go-
Adepticon, I was talking to Omnis, and he said that he thought there was, I want to say, like 4 affiliations I could expect to win a tournament at the time, but the game is very different now than it was then. Like, we've had a balance update and, like, all kinds of stuff. But at the time, that was when, like, Spam Avengers were fresh onto the scene, and Black Order was still at full strength, and Criminals were still at full strength. So that's interesting. So Parker, do you have like a list of options that you would expect to be able to play at the Melee and expect to be able to play well? So I guess, is this like a list option, or are you just saying, should we build a list that you think you could run?
Oh, I don't know if I have to build a list, but there's something to say that the only list I've been playing recently is Inhumans, and I feel like I've actually been tuning recently. So if I wanted to play, for example, I feel pretty confident about Shield. I think I could play Shield very well. I think Shield has a lot of good play into most everything. I do not have a Shield list designed for a Malekith meta, for example. I don't think my Shield list is really designed for that. My Shield list is designed to do what I wanted it to do, and it does it well. I think if I didn't play Inhumans, I would probably play Shield. If I didn't play Shield, it would be pretty much a toss-up between Shadowlands and Guardians. I think.
So I think what you have just said, the things that you were looking for. Now I get Inhumans being original. That's kind of how I feel about that. It's original. Nobody's really done it and been that successful with it. But if you want to do shock and awe and cause some shit because people don't know what you're doing, Shield is actually very good at it. And they have tactics cards, and they actually have a leader that has value. Like a 4-pointer that pukes out 2 models, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think Shield is superb. I think also I enjoy their playstyle, which it is kind of a grindy playstyle. I enjoy it. So I wouldn't be upset at all with Shield. Yeah.
Well, that's because you guys are talking all the time.
Yeah.
So I'll take devil's advocate here. I was trying to look up the numbers for who just made season 8 cut. I would argue that any affiliation that made season 8 TTS cut could theoretically win any tournament because they went 6-0 or 5-1 to get there. I think Inhumans could do very well for 2 reasons. One, the data that we got at Bug Eater, right, Brandon? There were 2 Inhumans players who both went 2-1 that final day.
Yeah. And the guy I played, Jeremy from Omaha, he had every right to win the game that we played, so he easily could have gone 3-0.
They're just a very small sample size, but anecdotally, I don't think they're bad. I think people don't play them because they feel that Black Bolt is a tax. If, Parker, you have found that he is not a tax, then I think that invalidates why a lot of people don't take them. I think especially the turn 1 jank that Inhumans can do can flip a game on its end. People are used to seeing turn 1 jank from X-Men. They know what X-Men are going to do. You may completely surprise who you're able to attack with, or what you're able to do with like a turn 1 Black Cat Steel. Even against an experienced player, just because they don't have the reps into Inhumans. So I think that gives you a leg up if you're confident with your list, both playing it and the list you're playing against, right? So I think that goes a long way. I would not necessarily discount being able to take Inhumans and win. Now, I will caveat all of that by saying if you have tested Inhumans and found that you have X many bad matchups, then you need to find something to cover those bad matchups. But if in your testing you're like, I win every game, or I know how I could have won every game, then why not take them?
I do want to say that I like to shit on Inhumans a lot, and I don't think they're actually bad. I tell people that they're trash all the time. It's just a joke. I think that a lot of their strengths, though, do come from unforeseen situations. They create really weird interactions on the table. Like, perfect example, how many people on deployment would expect a turn 1 Black Cat Steel? Like, I don't think people expect that kind of shit to happen.
Mhm.
And because they just don't see it, because I think Inhumans are probably one of the only lists that would ever even try something like that. And it costs them almost nothing to do it.
Mhm.
Like, the amount of damage you can put out on the board on turn one, well, I guess now that we're talking about it, is a lot more expected. But
Mhm.
well, should I wait and post this till after the tournament?
It is.
Because I would be willing to bet the percentage of people listening to this that will also be at the Melee is higher than any other tournament.
Well,
but
also to be fair, the people who I mean, I've been playing against a lot of those people who are also going to the
Yeah,
tournament
exactly.
who also listen to this, so they know what it does. But one of the things I've really appreciated about my list and the construction of it, what I've seen, is its turn one play is so consistent. It to deny me would be to start losing. Right, you're going to be at a huge deficit. If I have, if it's a and I always forget the letters, but F, right? If it's an F deployment and you decide I'm just going to let him have the center on Gamma because I don't want to be auto ruined on turn one because of the shtick that Lockjaw is capable of doing, and it's also a single extract, then you are about to give me 4 points on turn one, and I didn't do anything. All I did was play Inhumans, and you gave me 4 objective points on turn one.
You mean Echo, not Foxtrot, but yes.
Oh, sorry, Echo. Sorry, yes, Echo. Sorry, not Foxtrot. So yeah, for E, that deployment, if you chose to give it to me, because I also have Black Cat to take a huge bonus on the extract, it's very, very difficult, I think, to play against Inhumans and not go ahead and go like, well, okay, I got to do something about the objective game because he has Black Cat, so I'm going to have to play the secures. And so I go, okay, whoever you send to a center secure is going to die. I will take down one of them.
I think also a lot of the stigma around Inhumans was at the time they were released, they were not as effective as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did they get a couple new releases that integrate well into their affiliation, because they've gotten, most importantly, Miss Marvel is huge, but there's a lot of newer characters that were not available at the time of release that they turn on, like Black Cat's perfect example. Someone who can threaten the entire board with an objective steal on turn one. Like someone like Bucky who can threaten attacking anywhere on the board on turn one. And so all that stuff, like they were not balanced around, or they didn't have the experience of playing with them at the time. And so I think there's a huge number of like cool, interesting plays they can make that other affiliations can't. And so because of that, the sum of the parts now is greater than the individual, which was probably not true when they were first released.
There is something I have learned, Aaron. Your comment about like what don't I do or what doesn't it do well. One of the things I've noticed with a good foil would be Shield. In Shield, if I'm doing really well, like all of my characters are on their healthy side, and I'm down 1 point, but all my characters are on their healthy side, and they've already lost 2. Like I feel like Shield really tilts the table really hard, and it slides down. I have not played many Shield games that were a slug out. If I lost this Shield, I lost really fast because I had bad dice or a bad scenario where my opponent had something that really did well into what I was doing. Like Black Order, I think does pretty well against Shield, stuff like that. But however, in Inhumans, I am trading. Like in every game I've won, I've also lost a character, and several of my characters have been dazed. It's aggressive, and I don't have a lot of defensive tech except for the one rerolls that they all have. The only character that seems pretty sturdy is Black Bolt himself, which is great because he's the leader and he facilitates a lot of stuff. But everyone else just dies. So I need my early stuff to happen if attrition is the way that I win, because I am actually trading my characters a lot for their characters. They play fair in that way, whereas some factions like Shield don't play fair like that. I can reasonably expect to play aggressively with a character and they won't die because I've got Eye in this guy. I've got bodyguard. I've got this, that, and the other that's going to stop them from finishing my character. Or I've got DR and physical 4 on my 3-pointer. So, basically, Shield has "go fuck yourself" written all over them defensively, whereas Inhumans is I'm going to take it on the jaw. But But their output is so consistent. I do not ever miss the amount. I always have my power to do all the things I want to do. I always have a lot of damage coming out really consistently. So I am losing slower than my opponent, but we're both losing when I play Inhumans. That's something I've noticed.
How many games of Inhumans have you played that you think you won the game because your opponent didn't realize something you could do?
Um,
Because I think every game I've watched has been like, oh, I didn't know. Like some interaction happened they weren't expecting, which meant they made a horrible mistake, but at the time they didn't realize it.
I think between the perfect knowledge of Black Bolt moving around power and being able to do that every turn, that's the thing that surprises people. They go, oh shit, this person only has one power, so I can ignore them. And then 2 turns later, they have power, and now they're doing their whole thing. Between that or Lockjaw's first turn shenanigans or Black Cat, I think every game has had at least one of those moments when somebody did not realize. That being said, if you had played against Inhumans 100 times, I don't know if you stopped me moving around power. I don't know if you stopped me using Lockjaw earlier or stopped my Black Cat.
It would just be
shenanigans.
having the knowledge of what to
Right.
expect, so they might make different decisions on their end.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same, well, this is one of the things we talked about this actually in one of the games. She's like, man, I didn't know that Medusa was going to end up having 3 power to start her activation, so she get to do all of the stuff she wanted to do. And I said, yeah, but would you have attacked her to just give her the 3 power immediately? Hope you one-shot her with someone? Like, you had to one-shot Medusa without rerolls and me rerolling my defensive dice with my Inhumans card was on, so the Inhuman Royal Family, so I had perfect reroll once and all their little rerolls. So you had to one-shot her with one activation, because if you give her any power, she just activates then and does it then. Basically, I can be patient with Medusa, or you give me a little bit of power and I just do it now. But the same thing was going to occur. And he goes, yeah, I guess so. So that's one of the things that I'm learning about Inhumans is unlike some other factions where I can forget Medusa and it's true. And with Inhumans, you can't forget Medusa. At any point, she could just be turned on. Don't. Everybody's live with whatever it
Well,
is. they're
somewhat.
gonna do.
Like, you could do other things other than just attack her, but yes.
Right. Yes.
Like, getting her out of range 3 of her allies prevents that from happening.
Right. Yes. There's actually, Aaron, that's actually something that I haven't got to play yet, is everybody's been very obliging. Every game I've played has not been a D deployment, for example. So I have had
Yeah.
the separated ones where it's 2 Cs. I played a lot of those, Terrigen Clouds and stuff like that. And that works just fine. But
Yeah, people like to think that's a split scenario, but it really isn't.
It really
like,
isn't.
It's just a redeploy and then merge again. Like, it's
Mhm.
you just walk to the side and then to the middle.
So, yeah, I haven't seen a D or an Extremis, or something like that. I haven't seen one of those. I don't think I would struggle that much. I don't think it would, but I haven't done one yet.
So I haven't played into you, but if you're using Black Cat and Lockjaw in most of your lists, I wouldn't be scared of it. I think you need more oomph. Take that as a completely unseasoned critique.
Mhm.
And then my other comment is, I think the thing that's doing the best in the meta right now is a 1 big boy list. Thanos, Malekith, Mags, Hulk, plus 3 support models is your basic 17. Pick your faction, whether it's Guardians, Cabal, Avengers. I think you
Brotherhood.
need to have an
that-
answer for that.
Is that actually 3 support models or just 3 smaller models?
Smaller.
Okay.
So I think those are the lists prototypically that are doing the best right now. So how are you going to go up against Avengers with Hulk or Malekith with Cabal or Thanos anything?
I have played 4 games for some reason with Avengers with Hulk, with Inhumans, and it's been the best games I've ever played against Hulk with Inhumans.
Yeah, I think Inhumans are actually good against that archetype. Because they can just dump all their damage into one guy and kind of ignore everybody else.
Yeah, it's been Lockjaw gives me +1 damage eventually, but he usually doesn't get to activate first. But Black Bolt's going to devote so much damage, and everybody is going to do a lot of damage. I have not felt like Black Cat is a real big negative. However, there was one game that I saw a big attrition game playing, and I just didn't play Black Cat, even though it was a single extract. and I went, I'm just going to go ahead and play nothing but beaters and beat him down, and that worked just fine.
Okay.
My biggest concern would be specifically Malekith. Not only do you have a limited amount of experience into him, that I believe it's 0.
I have not
but
got to play him yet.
also, I think that Malekith is specifically good versus your kind of attacks.
Mm.
A lot of them are just slightly above average with a little bit of dice mod sprinkled on top. And so I think he's actually good against that. Or at least resilient, or more resilient to it than most people. But he is the kind of person that will also get through your slightly above average defense really easily.
Yeah. I think Malekith would be difficult for Inhumans. That is one thing.
I think one of the good things, though, if you're taking Black Cat, it's actually always good against Malekith because you can just move long, stagger him every turn. And so he has to kill Black Cat immediately, or else he's going to get staggered 3-4 times. Mm-hmm. And so that's a problem for him.
I actually consider putting Iron Fist in the list because you can make a top of 2. Like I'm gonna, I think it's top of 2. It's close. Maybe it's bottom of 2. But you can make an Iron Fist that can do the Iron Fist really fast in an Inhuman list if you want to go all in.
Mm-hmm.
And I say all in, but you don't actually go all in because you have Lockjaw. Lockjaw gets 3 power, and you actually are going to do some other things too. That's the thing I like about Inhumans that I've played. At first, I was like, oh man, I played Black Cat. Well, that's all my power for the turn, all devoted to Black Cat. And then I played it. I was like, no, it's not. I still did tons of stuff. Like, it's just fine because Lockjaw's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even 2. It's really 1 because you hand her a second power early in the turn. That way you're set up for the steal. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, I fucking dare you to look for it.
Yeah.
And you just never give her the third power because she doesn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the second turn, she's already got 3. So then she starts giving power away. And then she turns into a power battery every turn until you end up needing her to steal something. And it's like, yeah, so it's not really a loss because then she's just wandering around every turn staggering somebody, which is fine.
Right. It's been also Black Cat has a Pierce attack. In one game, I was like, I think Miss Marvel picked up the red. Just she just happened to pick it up because he didn't even go check it at all. I was like, oh, Miss Marvel, go check that because you don't have nothing to do. And she picked it up immediately. And so then Black Cat just waited for very late in the turn every time, and then Lockjaw would Interdimensional Bloodhound, and she'd go up and 5 dice pierce someone, and she actually would daze people because she can. She's nearly as good as a X-23 attacking with X-23 minus the reroll feels great. So yeah, it was. The more I talk about them, the more I feel like I can keep playing them. It's only, am I going to run into a brick wall? Is there a glass ceiling for them that I just haven't reached yet?
The huge question is, can they beat Malekith? I think. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of different versions of Malekith, so it is dependent. But I think the only thing I see that would functionally stop you is if you just decide or discover that you just can't beat most Malekith lists. It's a huge uphill battle. I think that's the only big noticeable negative that you would see a long way off.
Is presumably, not always, but presumably Malekith might be taken in a slightly larger point game. He might not be taken sub 17. Have you guys seen that, or do people totally not scared?
Well, you should ask Aaron, but I don't think the point total is ever going to prevent somebody from taking Malekith.
No.
I'm playing him at 14.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering about that. I think. I think
wrong?
He's
actually better at low points.
Am I wrong that Ghost Rider feels good into Malekith? Am I right?
I think you are absolutely right.
Yeah. Ghost Rider is the secret sauce.
Okay.
If you can keep Ghost Rider alive, I think you win the game. But he's already so fucking hard to kill that I don't know that it really matters. It's just mainly, can you stop him from dazing Ghost Rider at the most important time?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because, yeah, he's going to probably end up taking 4 damage over the course of a game just for Ghost Rider being alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, that's also the problem is once you go to KO, because Malekith is really good at the Thanos play. Like the Black Order, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to get priority, I'm going to kill you again, you never get to activate. Yeah. Like whoever that is, Hulk, She-Hulk, Ghost Rider, pick your model. Malekith can probably do it. And Ghost Rider says, oh, that was nice. I get to come back and activate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what's so scary.
Activate. And you just park him next to either Luke Cage or Steve, and he comes in. It's like, all right, Steve's going to get 6 defense dice, depending on the situation, maybe with blanks, maybe with cover. It's like, what are you doing? And you're like, shit. Like, I don't know what to do. It's like, so you go in on him. It's like, I either count my crits and die, basically, because I take like 4 damage just from Ghost Rider being there to try and daze Steve, or I keep punching Steve without crits and try and punch through that fucking bulwark for like 10 minutes. And so you're just in a really bad spot either way.
Yep.
Yeah. I think probably Avengers with Ghost Rider is one of his worst matchups.
Yeah, I see that. Also,
because you also can have Iron
Black-
Man in the back just like yeet cannoning him whenever you feel like.
right. Also, you can afford a Black Widow who just stays far away and is his second body, and you're reasonable.
Yeah.
Reasonable.
Sure.
You have a reasonable chance that she's not going to be defiled before he pops out of her.
I mean, she could, but yeah, it's a huge waste of investment.
Yeah.
The other thing is that he's going to Spirit of Vengeance on every single die roll he makes, even if it's only for 1, because it only costs him 1 power in Avengers. So even if you don't intend to roll criticals, you're still taking damage, and he'll bodyguard every attack you make for the entire game.
If you charge Steve, you throw him away. So the second attack.
But then he just heroes for hires into it. Like
Right.
he'll just never let you put.
But that's still.
Ghost Rider.
But it's also one attack into Ghost Rider is not good enough. Like you need to be taking him.
Well,
out.
I think it's primarily because you want to use Spirit of Vengeance, not because you care about him taking damage. You can't use Spirit of Vengeance if he's defending.
Yeah.
Anyway, does anyone think that Inhumans are bad enough as an affiliation to prevent somebody from winning a tournament? If you assuming good play and knowledge.
I feel like who shows up. I mean, everything that Inhumans does, I feel like 2 Captain Americas bouncing shields off their faces and pushing them off every objective and not allowing them to do their thing. I just don't see that. I don't see them winning.
Okay.
I think I just see them getting pushed around a lot. And I mean, yes, Lockjaw can place a couple things, but then they're placed back up and then they just get killed or pushed back again. Like, I don't like the fact that they can't, other than Lockjaw, get around the table and kind of move themselves back. I would.
Yeah, one of their big problems is that they're a very predictable archetype. If your opponent is playing Inhumans, you have a very good idea of what their list is going to look like at finish. So you can, if you have the knowledge of how to play against them and what's good into them, they're a very predictable squad. Because you're always going to see, like, obviously Black Bolt the leader, probably one of the 3-pointers in either Lockjaw or Black Cat as their support piece, and then Miss Marvel's almost always going to be there, and then you're going to follow it up with a long range person or Medusa. Like that's like they don't have like a transformative sideboard that is like Avengers where it's like Steve or Sam. Like they're very much in a box as far as the way their affiliation plays. Now maybe you can find a way to squeeze in a second affiliation or some kind of pivot option that changes your archetype, but it's not going to be with Black Bolt, right?
I played against them with Black Bolt, Medusa, Ultron, and Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a 2-pointer like Rocket. So there's a little bit of quote-unquote jank you can do.
Well, it's generally they live in like the medium band. Like they have a lot of 5 and 4-point models that like really identify their affiliation, and then they've got the really efficient 3s that round out the point costs. But they don't, like, you're not going to see like a go wide list, and you're not going to see like a I brought Thanos and Inhumans. Like it's not really a thing.
I think Ghost Rider is a really easy include most of the time. Like, he works out pretty darn well, I've found.
Yeah. I like Ghost Rider in them as well.
Yeah.
Because he's a good power battery, and he does the stand in the middle and fight, which is what they want to do.
Yeah. I think right now, it's going to be if my opponent being prepared for Inhumans is their weakness, man, that's a great strength. Because
well, yeah, I don't.
How
think
many people
that's-
walk
I
around
don't
with
think
that kind of
people are
knowledge?
trying for it, but I think good players that just have experience into them. Like, for example, I was talking about how Jeremy was playing Inhumans. Like, so I would assume some of the Omaha guys have played against this effective list a decent amount of times. And so if they come down and like, oh, I play against Inhumans every Wednesday, then, oh, well, that might be a problem. Because they will just have an idea of how to play into it. And so you're not going to get a lot of the gotcha stuff, which I think Inhumans, as a dark horse option, are very competitive. I think Inhumans into a person who has reps and knows their kit just as well as you do is not an effective option. I think it is a slightly subpar affiliation.
Yeah, there are some affiliations that will impose their will regardless of how well you know what they're going to do. Like, they're going to do their thing.
Yeah, like Avengers. If you properly pilot Avengers, your opponent's knowledge of Avengers is very irrelevant.
Black Order,
As
same
we're-
thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just because you know the trick doesn't mean you can stop it. As we're Inhumans, there's a lot of traps. And like we talked about, some of them are like, you can't really do anything about it. It's just like, I didn't realize it at the time. But some of it isn't. Like, some of it is like, oh, I walked forward, and even if you don't find the objective, you pull off the single extracts, and your opponent is spending power checking them, they're A, standing in disadvantageous locations, and B, wasting power. And that's if they don't find it. And so if they do find it, then they're just losing the objective because they didn't do math or didn't realize that it was even possible. Some people might even think it's limited to 1 power per person or something. Like, they don't even consider it because they've never played a game against Inhumans.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's definitely an issue. Also, people are not used to playing against Lockjaw again. Like, Lockjaw's been not in the meta for a very long time. And the place my own models 3 thing is huge. Like, people don't... It's so hard to visualize that level of threat range. And you'll just walk into it sometimes.
Jeremy, I was actually going to make a point to your Inhumans thing. That kind of statement is the way I thought about Inhumans before I played them with new models. It kind of go back to Brandon's earlier point of if you played Inhumans when they came out, they felt super static and way too static, like not dynamic at all.
Yeah. Or Miss Marvel is
right.
fucking the opposite.
Miss
Yeah,
Marvel
she's all over
is
the table.
insanely dynamic, and now you can play like New Winter Soldier feels insanely. New Winter Soldier tied to Lockjaw is such a little hopscotch of death. Like it feels so strong, and
yeah, they literally just fucking leapfrog each other every turn.
yeah, they leapfrog each other, and your opponent is just like, why can't I kill? Why can't I do anything else? Because these two guys are just ruining my day. I think here's another bit is in all my Inhumans games so far, I secure 1 objectives on turn 1, I secure the extract on turn 1, and then I remove 1 of your models. I don't even care that you scored 2 other objectives or 3 other objectives because I'm going to go up on attrition, I'm going to go up on my extract. Now you have to work really hard to get the extract back, and eventually I'll go get the secures once your guys are dead because I've already turned over 1, so I'll just take him off, and now you're at a disadvantage in the number of models to secure. That's the pattern that's gone so far. And so being pushed off a secure point, if I got to double attack you with Black Bolt, I really don't care if I got pushed off because he is doing giant chunks out of your flesh.
I'm trying to put what Inhumans do into like a game mechanic standpoint, and I'm coming up with they do tempo really well. Like they start turn 2 on turn 1 because they have board manipulation with placing their own models, mainly through Lockjaw. They have power sharing, so they have the ability to use turn 2 resources on turn 1, and then they have above average dice because they've got 1 reroll on pretty much everybody. And so that combination of stuff is kind of interesting because when I think about who else does tempo, I think Shield a little bit. And so both of them basically start with a noticeable leg up in the tempo department because they're doing stuff that you want to do on turn 2 on turn 1. And so if your opponent doesn't realize the power of that tempo and walks into a lot of it and doesn't work as hard as they can to dig out of that hole as quickly as possible, they are in a bad spot. But if they are able to get the tempo back from you, that's really when they're in a really bad spot. Because if your opponent matches you on tempo, either through having another tempo heavy affiliation or just good play, like maybe they have good terrain so they can hide from your early quick strikes and stuff, or they're able to hold their own on scenario, whatever the case happens to be. If they're able to dig their way back into tempo and you guys are fighting fairly, I think that's when Inhumans can really struggle.
I actually think Inhumans into Shield might be hard. I haven't played into Shield.
I agree.
I think that actually might be hard for them because if the Shield grunt picks up the objective, yeah, you got Black Cat, but you have so many activations on there. Like Shield will always have so many activations to kill Black Cat and then take it back. It's going to be it would be hard to play.
I'm also
Shield,
thinking, depending on the turn order, let's say they walk up and they find the objective on the first turn and they had priority. So they had priority, they choose blues, you get your reds, single extract the middle, Shield Grunt finds it on turn 1, what do? You activate somebody else, give Black Cat a power, and then let's say they like do something and like somehow kill their own grunt, like they throw a dumpster into the grunt and then they place it backwards. Now what do? You're like, this is a very different situation.
Right.
Like shit.
She could still get it by double moving and
Vision walks forward, synthesizes, throws the dumpster into the grunt, picks up the objective, and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
I guess I don't steal it.
Yeah. There's a bunch of things. And the funny thing is, you say that, like, what a weird corner case. But
no,
that's
exactly
totally what
the
Shield
right
does.
That's
that's
exactly what they do.
But Shield, that's exactly what Shield does. Shield plays Visions. I played Vision and Shield a lot because of exactly that kind of shit. You're just like, there are so many things that Shield, if you've been playing a lot of Shield, I'm just going to do this really weird, Michael Jordan, in the old McDonald's commercials, off the back, it's off the backboard, off the second riser, off the Denny sign outside. Yeah, it's just like nothing but net. Like that's what Shield does, right? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think you're fine playing Shield. I would say that your homework for this week needs to be get as many games against Malekith as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Or at least enough to know if it's apocalyptically bad or maybe much better than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will basically tell you if you're in a safe spot, because I can only assume Malekith will be on 1/3 of the tables, if not more.
Yeah.
You gonna be there tomorrow?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Okay. You and me.
Say
Malekith.
at minimum, I will be back at the store at I think 11 at the latest, probably earlier than that. I would expect. And so if you guys want to play a game at that point, that's fine, for sure. And then maybe also if you can before that as well.
Okay.
Not to mention the Malekith version that shakes automatic effects is like 7 shades of hell. And I didn't even think about the
Asgard?
Avengers. No, not even Asgard. The
Winterguard.
version Winterguard. That really blows.
Winterguard? What am I forgetting?
You still won that game.
I did, but I shouldn't have.
I don't know.
You had some really tough models. Like
they
I
can
was
shake a
shocked.
condition every turn.
Yeah.
I was shocked at how difficult it is to remove any one of your models. In Winterguard, it was very tough.
Have you tried just saying you're dead?
I
don't think he
did,
believes you.
but he wouldn't lie down. And I
remember the first time I realized my opponent was not doing math correctly on damaging my models, and I was like, this was back in War Machine at a very important tournament, and I was like, looked up and I was like, okay, so how much damage did you do? He's like 10. I was like, oh, okay. Picked up my model at 8 hit points. He's like, goes to hit the next guy. He's like, I was like, how much damage? He's like 10. Like, that was definitely a different dice roll. But whatever, I pick up my guy. He rolls again, rolls basically the same number, and he goes 10. I'm like, what's your math? And he's like, oh, well, I'm like strength really high. And I'm like, what is your strength? And he goes 16. I was like, I'm armor 24. How are you doing? I was like 6. That's 8. Like, how are you getting all this? That doesn't make sense. And he's like, oh, I guess 8 then. I'm like, no, wait, let's add it up real quick. I was like 14 plus your 8. That's 20. That's 0 damage. And he's like, oh, my bad. And then rolls again like nothing happened. I'm like, did you just kill 2 or 3 people for nothing? Like, and it was on a really important game. I was like, fuck this. I was so mad. I was like, oh, I fucking should have seen that coming. I knew this guy was gonna be trouble. Anyway, moving on. So let's move into our other little topic. This is a carryover from I think last week. Might have been the week before. We started talking about the relevant point cost versus actual point cost in a game. And this is kind of just a gambler's fallacy or a sunk cost fallacy of investment of resources. So the logic train is once your game has begun and you're in a situation, the point cost of your models is effectively irrelevant to the game. Let's say, for example, you have Hawkeye and Rocket Raccoon in the same list. And you're like building your squad, and you get to the point where it's like, well, I have 3 points left, so I should put in Hawkeye. But for just this argument's sake, let's say you're playing a Guardians roster and you've already included Groot. The point cost of Hawkeye is irrelevant to this game. You do have an allotment of points you are able to spend, but including Hawkeye over Groot over Rocket in that situation is just completely wrong. Like, you should include Rocket because of the synergies involved and the tactics cards you have access to, stuff like that. The other point is, like, let's say you're going to use Mr. Sinister to clone a model in the game. Well, you could theoretically clone a model up to a 4-point cost in this exact situation. You should not just only reach for 4-point models. You should reach for the best model available in this situation. Because the fact that you're putting a 4-point model on the table doesn't matter except for the fact that the model has 4 in its point value, right? So this is just something we wanted to touch on briefly. Aaron, can you think of times in games that people don't realize the situation is true and they just look at the point value and they forget?
All the time, and it's usually deployment. So picture a split C, Terrigen Mist, for example. Opponent deploys, let's say, a Black Panther and a Steve Avenger on one side to go get 1 point. You're like, okay, I've got 8 points over here, and then I'll put 8 points on the other one, and then I'll have a 2-pointer sitting in the back. So that's how they're going to deploy their 18 points worth of models, 8, 8, and 2. Well, in order to counter Steve and Black Panther, I'll play Hood and Magic, right?
Yeah.
6 points. But the points are completely irrelevant. People should not think about how much threat am I committing to that side. Because those 6 points of models are probably going to counter them very well.
Easily, yeah.
Right?
Very easily, I would even say.
So as soon as you have picked your squad, right? That's when you should forget 100%, unless you're playing Voodoo, what a model's threat value is. It is completely irrelevant. Instead, think about capabilities, right? So deploy your models according to matchups. It's probably one of the best things that you can get practice doing to get better at the game, because once you've deployed incorrectly, it can be a problem to dig out of. So just realize, who do you have that's vulnerable? For instance, Cap and Black Panther. What are they vulnerable to? Does my opponent bring the counter in their squad? And if they do, how do I mitigate that? Right? So stop thinking in terms of, I'm going to put my 4 to counter your 4. Oh, you put Maw. That's a 5 threat right there. Like, okay, that might be a 5 threat, but Maw dies pretty easily to Bucky as soon as Bucky gets 2 power. So think in terms of capabilities and countering as opposed to the threat values that models bring to the table.
Yeah, I think it actually goes a step further than that into not just of like allocating resources based on point cost, because you're right. Once the clock starts, your point cost is the most irrelevant stat in the entire game. I would even say in squad building that it's irrelevant. Like, obviously, the value of your models matters for math purposes for building a squad. But people think about, people are so unwilling to play a point down, and sometimes it's the right call. I'm trying to think of a situation. The obvious parallel I would draw is Wolverine and X-23, if you don't already have Honey Badger. Let's say you have 4 points to spend, and you've got both of these models on your list. Well, some of the time, X-23 is just going to be better than Wolverine. And some people would argue that's all the time, but I would not. But as an example, sometimes you'll be in a situation and you're like, well, I really want to take this combination of models, but it's 1 point below the threat value, so I'm going to play something else. And they end up playing a squad either they're unfamiliar with, don't like the synergies of, or just don't like the composition in general, because they're afraid to play 16 points against 17 points. It doesn't matter. If it feels like a better squad, it probably is a better squad.
That's exactly where I'm at with my Malekith build right now.
Yeah.
I want Sam, Iron Man, Luke Cage, Malekith. That's 16. I do not want to swap one of those 3-pointers out for a 4. They each do something perfect.
Yeah. And so as an example, like Luke Cage, there's probably a 4-point equivalent like Steve. Like, you could take a Steve that would be pretty equivalent to that. And not every model has that. And I remember long ago on the podcast, we used to talk about this all the time, is alternate threat levels for same impact models. So, for example, when I was building a squad, I would have Valkyrie in the list, because I like Valkyrie. And so it's like, what would you do when you had 3 open slots in the list? Well, I put Killmonger in. It's like, why'd you put in Killmonger? It's like, because he's the 4-point Valkyrie. That's the exact reason he's in the list. Because I want that Valkyrie kit in every list I play. And not every list is going to be 17 points. Sometimes we'll play 18. And my squad needs to be the same composition, because I built it to work together. So you cut Valkyrie for Killmonger. And you just put in nesting dolls of points, which is obviously way easier now that X-23 and Honey Badger exist, because you can just do that from 2 to 4. And it's great. Although you probably actually put... Well, really, the point value is 4 with Wolverine or 5 with X-23 and Honey Badger. That's really the package difference.
One of the things that I, related to this, that is a nonsense statement, but I know people say it all the time, is they say like, oh man, what a great value I got. I used my 3-pointer to kill your 5-pointer. So that's a really good
Yeah.
value. And I go,
Hmm.
well, I mean, yeah, you did use that character to defeat that character, but kind of like your example, whereas Black Panther versus uh, Magic, I don't know how many times I've killed Captain America with Bullseye. It doesn't make Bullseye a fantastic, make more than 2 points. It just means he can do 1 damage to Captain America. And
Yeah,
as it turns,
exactly.
yeah, Captain America has 2 damage left all the time.
Or
So
9 damage to Thanos.
Or 9 damage to Thanos.
right.
I was gonna bring it up if you didn't.
I was gonna leave it be, but okay, you're right.
I totally agree, Parker, because people they have these like point cost goggles on all the time, which is why we talked about this. Is they go, oh, my pick random 3-point OK model. They're like, my perfect example, Black Cat. My Black Cat killed the enemy Steve Rogers. She's amazing. I got such a good value out of that. It's like, did you count all the other attacks made by all the other models too, or did you like take for account the fact that she had to activate early in the turn to perform that action that got him dead? Like, it's the last thing that matters is the point cost.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that she got it done is irrelevant to the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who was I playing one day, and it was a Hawkeye. Somebody had a Hawkeye one day, and he like KO'd, he like dazed one of my characters and ended up KOing 2 others, right? And because he took out 2 characters, like, man, my Hawkeye had great value that game. I go, no, he didn't. He did like 15 damage. So like you didn't trade the points for Hawkeye for more points on my team. Hawkeye did damage over the course of the game, which is what he does. That's all he does, right? So yes, he did the last damage on several characters, but that doesn't mean that he is somehow a great value versus the point levels he was able to take out.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, how often would you say, Jesus Christ, I would pay 6 points for a model that just had a push right now?
Yeah.
Like
I would trade Thanos for Shuri at this exact moment, please. I'll even trade equal damage dealt to her.
Yeah.
Trying to think if this extends to anything else in the game.
I would say this actually.
Go ahead.
There are some characters that we talk about having value, like they do something extraordinary for their points, or they feel really, really good for their points. But there are situations that they could be in which they have 0 value, and their points themselves do not give them value. I think a good example is like Corvus Glaive. A 5-point Corvus Glaive can anytime kill any model in the game. Doesn't matter what their point level is or amount of health they have, right? Corvus Glaive is an absolute damage consistency monster. However, if he doesn't have a way to teleport himself from one place to another in some way, you are never going to see that value because he's going to lose so much in movement actions. So if you watch somebody's Corvus Glaive ruin a whole list, I've done it myself. I've seen my Corvus Glaive kill quote unquote 15 points of my opponent's list, right? But it's because I had the ability to move him there and protect him there, and he just got to stand there and do it. So if you are not enabling the characters that you choose to do the thing that they do, they will have no value. Even if you're really excited about the super efficient choice you made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not saying point cost is irrelevant to the game, but keep in mind, the only time the point cost matters is up to the point you try and include a model in a list. That is the only time it matters. Everything after that it doesn't matter if MODOK is worth 5 points. That doesn't mean that you can, need to not attack this 2-point model because he's worth 5 points. The value of their opportunities is what is important at that point. And I do see a lot of people fall into that trap. Yeah, just keep your mind open and look at what is best in this situation, because once you've included the model in your roster, the point cost becomes way less important. And then once you include it in your squad, it's completely irrelevant. So just keep that in mind.
Oh yeah. Also, Wolverine's never the answer.
Wolverine is always the answer.
Never the answer. Never one time.
Wait till the new Wolverine comes out. He's gonna be so fucking good that you're gonna have to eat shit for so long.
Dude, I love the guy. I just don't love
the guy.
No, Jeremy's a big Wolverine fanboy. He just doesn't like this Wolverine, I think. Am I wrong?
I think Wolverine gets a bad rap for sure. I mean, he's certainly not an A-list character, especially at this point in the game. That has passed him by. Although with the way the meta is shifting, he's probably coming back into his own a little bit. The value you're talking about, though, like people just say, well, X-23 is better. Well, she's not better. Like, look at their cards. Wolverine is better. He just costs 4 points. Like, that's the problem. Like, if they both cost the same points, then nobody would be like freaking out over X-23. She's very good. She is definitely a better model as a 3-pointer than he is as a 4-pointer. But the big deal is that he's so hard to one-shot. Like, think of the models in the game that can get him dead in a single activation, and it's a very short list. There are certainly models that pick on him because they have like strong board control and mystic attacks, so that's a different problem. But he can put out about as much damage as anybody in the right situations. Anyway, that's going to wrap up our topics today. So we're going to move into our next segment. Parker, do you have some story time stuff for us?
Mm-hmm. It goes along with our big topic today, as we're talking about Inhumans a lot.
Nice.
I actually read some brand new stuff, and it's part of something that I like about the Marvel Universe that writers sometimes take time to do. And I'm going to talk about a comic called All New Inhumans, and it's written by James Asmus and Charles Soule. And in the premise of the story is that this is not about the big Inhuman royal family, so it's not about Medusa and Karnak and Black Bolt and these guys who are like the big movers and shakers. It's actually about Crystal and how she leads a team of Inhumans, and their job is basically trying to solve the humanitarian crisis of the Terrigenesis. For those of you who don't know, Black Bolt had this big plan to release the Terrigen Mist across the entire planet, and anyone who had any Inhuman DNA was just kind of spontaneously transformed into Inhumans, whether they like it or not. And so Crystal's job basically is to go out and in a diplomatic mission to go to all of these other countries and all these other places in the world to try to find Inhumans and help them if they want it. So part of the thing that's fun about it from a sci-fi perspective, I love the sci-fi, is all the Inhumans they find, the really interesting power sets and features of the characters they find, I think are fascinating. So, each the monster of the week is usually an Inhuman and the problems that revolve around, extricating them from the situation they're in. And the Inhumans are fascinating. But another thing I love about this comic is because it's very much a D storyline, is they go and they find really, really obscure parts of the Marvel Universe and make that like the focus. For example, there's a made-up country in the Marvel Universe that you definitely have never heard of, because it only takes place in one 1956 Avengers comic. They were trying to, at the time, make China a big boogeyman, right? Communist China was a big boogeyman. And so they made this not China, and they gave it this very horrible despot who was obviously Mao Zedong, and he fought the Avengers and lost. Completely out of the Marvel Universe forever, right? Never mentioned this country again. So now they bring it back, and instead of being a China, it's very much kind of a pseudo Marvel version of North Korea. And so what would happen if North Korea, in its incredibly isolationist, militaristic, despotic style, happened to have just random Inhumans pop up in their population? Well, it would be a humanitarian crisis, and it's Crystal's job to solve that. And so I really like when Marvel writers really dig deep, deep, deep into the fluff, into very obscure things, bring them back out for storylines like these, and make them important and interesting and provocative. So if you like exploring every single corner of the Marvel Universe, Earth 616, and if you like Inhumans, of course, there's some cool sci-fi stuff that goes along with them, you'd like All New Inhumans. There's only 2 graphic novels. They do the whole story, and they're done for now. But it's strong. It was very well written, well executed, and a fun kind of jaunt off the beaten path of, let's talk about the end of the world with the Avengers and Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four. It's very much let's go solve some problems that happens when nobody's looking.
All right. Thank you for that Comic Corner, Parker. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed episode 1 of season 2. It's a brand new day.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just gonna put down Infamous.
We did it.
God damn.
Yeah,
we sure
buddy.
Did.
Episode 1
Oh.
of season 2.
Mhm.
Oh, there we go. Cool.
That's episode like 101, right? For those of you who are counting the full total.
Shut up, Parker.
I
You
know
can
you
double
like this
down.
whole like restart thing, but I'm very much a our sins follow us to the next life. I'm pretty sure we're still
Oh,
the
yeah.
same people.
That's entirely possible.
I know
I like
you're
to
all
think
for
there'll
new
be-
beginnings.
I like to think there'll be more enemies, like a lot in this version of us. Possibly some sort of dance scene in like a black costume this time.
hmm
Things like that. Just double up. Just double,
Yep.
triple.
I think
I'm
I'm going to
excited
reach.
about it.
I think I'm going to reach a power level where my hair turns blue. I think that's what's going to happen in this.
Nice. Everybody catch up on She-Hulk?
I have
Nice.
seen She-Hulk.
Not yet.
I have not.
Really?
Well, my wife and I started watching Sandman, and so like all of my TV time is going towards Sandman right now. We have not finished Sandman yet. So the goal is to finish Sandman and then start on She-Hulk, presumably when there's already some episodes in the bag. So
Mhm.
maybe we can finish at the same time it finishes.
Yeah, I was sad that there wasn't more episodes out. Like, I wanted to watch more.
Of Sandman?
No.
Of She-Hulk.
Yes.
Okay, good. There we go. I paused on that one. I paused on Sandman because I got into other stuff. I'm getting all the way through like Yellowstone at this point. I just
Yeah.
ended season 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
Okay, so that show.
That's an intense season ender.
Oof.
Okay, so
That is like fucking Sex in the Woods right there.
So
intense.
when you guys mentioned that show the other day, you're like the second like people that I've heard Yellowstone.
That show
around.
is legit.
And so I started watching that show. That show is fucking fun as hell. Like
It is
really fun.
intense.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the mafia,
it's
but
it's
it's
like
country.
if it's like if Breaking Bad and
Yeah.
and a Longmire had a kid, and their
Yes.
kid liked killing people. Like, that's basically the situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
homicide is never investigated in Yellowstone. It just doesn't.
No,
happen.
it's no big deal. Every problem can be dealt with by murder.
Well, like, it's hard for people to fathom. Like, what is it's a 2,000 acre ranch, right?
Oh no. It's like
Is it bigger
50,000
than that?
acres.
It's a 50,000 acre ranch.
Yeah.
People can't even imagine how much land that is. Like, think about it.
Yeah.
Here, I'll just Google it. How many square miles is 50,000 acres? 78 square miles.
That's
I
that's a
actually
lot.
thought it was. I actually thought it'd be bigger, but that's still a lot of fucking space.
Would you like to know something really interesting I learned about the other day? Have you guys ever heard of the Zone of Death? Speaking of Yellowstone, have you heard of this? There is
No.
something called the Zone of Death that a law professor actually discovered because of a weird quirk in the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution says specifically, whenever you commit a crime, that you have a right to be tried by a jury of your peers from your state and district. Not state or district, state and district. It must be both. And there's only one place in the United States where you cannot be tried by members of your state and district, and that is in a sliver, a very small sliver of Yellowstone National Park. But since it's a federal park, it is technically like a federal land, which means if you commit a crime there, it's a federal crime. And like you need a certain number of juror members from your state that
Yeah.
you commit the crime in. But since Wyoming, just a little bit, I think it's a sliver, or no, it's Nevada. There's a sliver of the park, like 200 acres by like 10 acres or something like that. That's in the wrong state. If you commit a crime there, legally, there is no way to form a jury against you.
Yeah.
So there's no way to try you for a crime. You can commit a crime, and you can be charged for the crime, but they
You can
cannot.
be arrested and they can
Yes.
like incarcerate you
Right.
while you await hearing. But as soon
Right.
as the trial is established, it'll be a mistrial.
Yes, they
'Cause
cannot.
They can't.
According to the federal constitution, they cannot try you. So it's been well known for like 18 years that this place exists. Now it is the middle of the fucking nowhere. Like there's nothing to be had there.
How convenient.
Right. So if you want to, you can go to the zone of death, and right now there's nothing in the Constitution. Now the thing is, would a state attorney and a federal attorney, would they try to prosecute you anyway? Well, of course they would, right? Like they would try to make it happen, and they could try to set a precedent or something like that. But if you had a good lawyer that was willing to continue to fight it, there is no way, according to the Constitution of the United States, to try someone if you commit a crime in the zone of death.
Oh, holy fuck. Jeremy, you were incorrect, and I was also incorrect. It is not 50,000 acres.
How many?
776,000 acres.
Ooh, that's what it is.
That's not a small boy. That is a big boy.
I might have been thinking of the amount of land they're trying to take for the airport or whatever.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was. Yeah, that whole story reminds me of the Rick and Morty, the roller coaster thing.
Holy fuck. That's 1,200 square miles. That's so fucking huge. Okay. Yeah, so 1,200 square miles, so it would be
What is that?
60 by 60? Is that my math right?
No, it's about 100 by 100.
It's 100 by 1,200, or
100 by 10.
100 by 100 and 110 by 110.
Okay.
Miles.
So if that 110 by 110 fictional miles are next to the zone of death, then they can just slowly saunter over.
Which, I mean, obviously they
I
are,
was-
because no one gets prosecuted.
Well, I'm just thinking, like,
Yeah.
practically, like, if I told you, like, hey, I killed this guy, and his body's buried on my land, they're never gonna find it. Like, that's so
Yeah.
huge. Like, we just bury him somewhere on the property.
Okay.
And you're
In-
like,
In case one of our listeners goes into our Discord and
we're
tries
not
to
actually gonna do this.
in case one of the listeners goes into Discord and tries to prove me wrong, I found the actual loophole. It says I didn't get it right. You have to have district and state according to the Sixth Amendment, and it says charges for a crime alleged to be committed in this area of the park in Idaho would have to be tried before a jury consisting entirely of residents of that area in Idaho, and the trial would also have to take place in that area. That Idaho portion of the park, of course, has completely no people because it's Yellowstone National
Yeah.
Park.
It's national park, so there's
Yeah.
no residents.
Right, and there's no place to have the court. So technically, you can't be tried for a crime there. Or rather, you could be arrested, but
Although,
there's no-
arguably, you're not supposed to be there anyway, so
well, no,
'cause
you
it's
can go to the
Idaho.
park.
you could be touring the park, I guess.
Yeah,
but, like,
there's a road into this area. There's only one road though, because it's not a very active part of the park. There's no
It's a
attractions
one-way
there.
road.
There's a one road that
because
goes
it's
into the
its
area.
own district of
Yeah.
Idaho. Yeah, so there's no jurors there.
Yeah, apparently it was.
Unless like maybe you could say like we could get some park rangers that temporarily live in the
Mm.
area, but like you probably couldn't get enough of them. I wonder
Oh,
if they could.
here we go.
If they,
Go ahead. In the TV series Yellowstone, enemies of the Dutton family are taken across the border into Wyoming and are executed and disposed of at the train station. It is implied that the rules of the zone of death apply to this practice too, including the location's juxtaposition with 3 states, Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho, and the lack of ability to prosecute crimes. So perhaps they're actually trying to take advantage of this loophole.
Yeah.
Huh.
God damn.
I imagine if they found the bodies, there'd still be a bit of a commotion, but
Yes, I'm sure there could be a precedent set, but so far there's
Correct.
no way to accommodate it.
I wonder if they really wanted to get you for something, and they're like, this guy is like a habitual murderer, and like we need to stop this person. I wonder if you could do something like while the person was being held for trial, you could establish some kind of permanent residence and move people into this area to then
Right.
select them as jurors.
Yeah. I don't
Like
know.
depending on how important it was to the establishment to get this guy convicted.
There is also like Congress could just pass a law that says
Mm-hmm.
this selection or this portion falls under another statute.
I'm sure they could also just like executive order some crap. So like obviously it's not an impenetrable loophole, but
Right.
It's like, depending on, like, if you just, piss people off enough, something will happen. They'll send you to Guantanamo or some shit.
They'll-
It's
they'll
like,
send
he's
disappeared.
suspected of treason. We have to interrogate him. Goodbye.
Yeah.
You just get thrown over the into the hole.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, someone like Sheriff Longmire just shoots you, and like we get done.
I was
with
going
it.
to say,
Yeah.
I was like, Zone of Death.
He
We'll
was
just Zone of Death
resisting.
him. Yeah.
Huh. Found
He used my own damn loophole against me.
Well played. Your last words.
Is that when you're going for revenge, dig 2 graves because the sheriff will kill you? Like, is that how that works? Yeah, just imagine like going on a scavenger hunt on a 1,200 square mile stretch of property, and like even if like the thing something exists on this property, you just don't know where it is. Like you could park a Jeep on that property, they might never find it. Like let alone try to discreetly dispose of a body.
Yep. So my kids have been watching some interesting shows. A lot of like how to survive stuff. Like
Naked and Afraid.
yeah, ish. But like more like if you're being
Alone?
charged by a kit buffalo, what should you do?
Oh.
Lie down. What if you're in the middle of a tsunami? What do you do then, Brandon?
In a tsunami?
Yeah.
Aren't you supposed to climb to like the highest point of land?
Yep. Jeremy,
Yeah.
what if you're being charged by a bunch of clowns? What are you supposed to do?
Shoot them.
charged by a bunch of clowns.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, you're supposed to go for the juggler.
Jesus Christ.
I thought this was going to be pay them. They already performed their
I
service.
knew it was a setup. Bless your heart. I'm just so glad that you're involved in this now too.
Bless his little heart. This is also a new thing. Is it's going to come from every direction now, Jeremy?
I
You're not gonna
definitely
know
got
what to
pummeled
do.
by that one.
Oh boy, that was a good one.
I tried.
Oh boy. Aaron, are you going to be at this tournament?
I will be, yes.
Nice.
Trying to dream crush everyone else.
Well, I
I'm
know
ready.
my plan is to play everyone except you, and then we meet at the finals. That's my game plan.
It
Okay.
worked for me.
I was gonna say it's a solid plan.
As long as you start off round 1 against my son, we'll be good. He's going to give me evil eyes the entire
You know,
ride back.
I think
Yeah.
this was the Omaha tournament was the only tournament I've gone to with Perrin and not played him. I think I've played him in literally every tournament we've been in the same bracket.
Did you know,
Oh, nope, Show Me. I didn't play him at Show Me.
Aaron? Did I ever tell you my parent theory? I don't know if I ever even told Perrin this theory. I met you guys once a long time ago, like 4 years ago or something. I realized this the other day in a game, Blood Bowl. This is the
Yes.
one of 2 Blood Bowl games I ever played in person.
Yes.
In the
I
Kansas City
remember
Blood
this
Bowl.
game. I was there.
And Perrin was playing Skaven,
Mhm.
and it was pretty far into the league, and he had a gutter runner that could score every turn, like do a 1 round turn. And I do nothing about this game. I was just like, okay, I'll play guys, and I'll put them down, and I'll play them. And Perrin just goes, all right, I will receive the ball, and I score. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I will receive the ball now. And he goes, okay, we'll play a little bit. Oh, it looks like you dropped the ball, and I score. And he just the game was like 5. It ended at like 5 to 0 or something. I don't think I ever did a thing. I just watched my guys lose, and Perry just kept this one gutter runner just kept running into the. I have a feeling at the end of the game he wasn't even trying really hard to get in. He was just like walking backwards into the end zone, and that was such a stomping that I actually lost a lot of my opinion for that game. I did not want to play the game anymore, and I think this is my parent theory: is all of that is now been inverted in its polarity for MCP, and that's why whenever we play each other, like I have the most dumb luck and the most ridiculous stuff. I think that's what happens. I think that's some sort of inverted polarity.
He's cursed.
Yeah, I think. Now, I also think that if I ever play Perrin in Blood Bowl again, I expect it to be the same. I expect exactly the same thing to occur. I don't care.
There are definitely some broken combos in Blood Bowl.
Still the best game ever.
I think that's a bit much. It's definitely the best game GW's ever made.
Yeah,
And they're the most successful miniatures company ever, so you could make a strong argument it's the best game ever.
that's a
If that's your leg to stand
that
on, then
reasoning
that's
is a
fine.
stretch, but no, the actual game itself is superior.
Like the core rules.
The core rules, the community, organization, everything about Blood Bowl.
There's
is
definitely
awesome.
a diehard following that wants that game to never die, and they're doing a good job. So, all right, episode 100 has 95 plays already,
Hells yeah.
and it's only been 5 days.
Month and a half.
It's a pretty good rate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, we have a lot of episodes with we have 4 episodes with over 150 listens. Ooh.
Hot.
My
Super
bot is listening to those extra hard. We only have 4 actual listeners. So if you are one of our listeners at home, congratulations, you're the 25% majority.
I love the idea that you made a bot that somehow has only played
Listen.
like 120 times. It's
It
just
just plays it on
the
loop.
worst bot. It's just the worst bot ever. It's just like when I get around to it. Just like, bots don't sound like that, internet. But I have this feeling that somehow Brandon made the laziest bot that just sits there
It's like
dividing.
the butter robot from
Yeah.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
It's
it
like,
just-
oh my god. Your job is to listen to my podcast on repeat. And he's like, oh my god.
I like the idea that it's like a broken clock, like like it divides by 0 until like every 44 hours it plays one episode of our podcast.
Well, no, actually, if you did the math and just played it on end, looped like end to end repeatedly,
Mhm.
I would be willing to bet that's close to 5 days of listening, right? 95 plays.
Mhm.
It's roughly 2 hours and 10 minutes. Let's just call it 2 hours. So that's 12 times a day times 5. Oh, that's only 60. So it's listening to them at a rate of faster than normal listening speed. So the bot's doing a good job.
Okay,
Nice.
It's dual boxing. It's listening to it twice.
I take it back. You're a genius.
I like the logic also behind like the mental stability of a person who would create a bot to listen to his own podcast to increase the view counts
Mhm.
and then also not monetize the podcast. Like the logic that person would have to have
Pure
seems
narcissism.
like a psycho like me.
Your e-peen is large.
Alrighty, are you guys ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
So remember, Discord names. Jeremy, do you want to change your Discord name before we do
Never.
this? Never.
No.
Okay. All right.
I don't believe in your nonsense.
Well, I don't know. I assume that this isn't a problem, but I don't know if people want to put their full name on the internet, so I usually don't use people's last names.
Okay.
I work for the government. My name's out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
My social, credit cards, whatever. They're all gone.
I heard, I don't know if this is fact or not, but I heard that the guy who, you remember when they did those like identity protection web services?
Yeah.
And like the guy like comes on, he's like, my social security number is blah 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 blah. And I'm confident in telling you this because I have this security company that protects my identity. And that guy's identity got stolen like 78 times or something. And it's like he had to get a new social security number because of how bad it was. And it's like, fuck this company. Like, because he was just some extra in a TV commercial. Like he wasn't affiliated with the company or anything.
I thought he was the CEO. That's why he did it.
Was he?
Yeah, I
was
think
it
so.
that guy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That guy's an idiot then.
Not everybody can invent the sham wow. There's only one
Yeah.
of those.
No one can be that successful. That's a miracle.
One of my favorite things like that I ever saw is there was a security expert, and he was trying to demonstrate to a reporter how easy it is to social hack someone and like get their information. And so he says he asked the reporter in the interview, he's like, I'm pretty confident that a lot of people could get taken. And the reporter's like, I don't know. I mean, are people really that gullible? He's like, well, who's someone you really care about? He's like, my family. He goes, okay. Do you have your mom's phone number? And he tells it to him and blanks it out for the interview. He says, okay. And so he calls him right then. And right then he's like, Mom, I don't have a lot of time. Real fast. Do you remember what your social security number is? I need it for one of these forms. I'm at the bank right now. And she goes, and she just immediately just tells him. And the reporter's sitting there like, oh God, Mom. And he goes, and he just hangs up and he goes, and that's it. Now I own your mom. And he's like, all you needed was her phone number. It's like all I needed was her phone number, and now I have your mom.
I bought that online for 3 cents.
Yeah, and all I need to know is her phone number and your age. A little bit about who you are, and just a little bit, and that's all your mom needed to completely buy it. And he just just sat there. But the point is, it's easy. It's really easy to lose that shit. You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Everything can sound real legit, real fast. It go upside down.
I feel like if anyone wants something, they're going to get it regardless. I mean, obviously, don't take pictures of your credit cards and post them online. But I think also, like, congratulations, you stole my ID. Have fun with that student debt. I have not had fun with it yet, but maybe you will.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to funner topics.
ShamWow.
Yeah, not ShamWow. All right, here we go.
God damn.
Hey, Parker.
Yes.
Why are bacteria so bad at math?
I feel like I should know this.
It's because they multiplied by dividing.
That's great.
Oh shit! You can take that
Fantastic.
to school.
Dude, you're supposed to know this.
Yeah. I think if I had any time, I might have figured it out.
You would have got there.
Yeah. The problem is, I would have said something really dumb, like specifically the vocabulary term.
Yeah.
Like
No, I saw you trying to get there. I was like, oh god, he's gonna ruin it. So
Yeah.
I had to jump in front of it.
they reproduce by cellular
Through
division.
mitosis.
Yeah.
Like,
You're like, oh.
fuck. He
Wah,
ruined
wah,
the joke
wah,
again.
wah. Yeah.
So I thought we could do something a little fun and have a after the podcast segment for all of our true fans that listen to the post ramble.
Ooh.
So I don't know if anyone here actually watches Always Sunny like I do, but at one point in the show, they try to figure out what all of their roles are within the gang. And so I thought we could talk about our roles. And because this inspired me while we were chatting before we started recording, and Jeremy was like, I'm the hot take guy. And so I was like, that's it. Jeremy's the wild card.
I'm the
And
wild
so
card,
I
motherfucker.
started realizing who some people were in the show. And so we know now that Jeremy is the wild card. And I thought about this basically the entire hour and 40 minutes we were recording.
Well
and
done.
I've come to the sad conclusion that I think I'm Frank. I'm the narcissist that hates everything and is always sour, but also I get really excited for no reason.
Also, you're the kind of person who every time you tell a story, it must be true. So
Yeah, it's like
that-
this
that's
definitely
Frank.
happened.
That's Frank, right? Like they're constantly going bullshit, but then it was
And-
100% true.
Infinite conviction.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping to be Mac because, like Mac, I like to play both sides.
Oh my god.
Hold on. Were are you equating this to roles actually, or just Always Sunny characters? Because you kind of
Always
changed.
Sunny rules.
You kind of changed us in the middle of your description. So the wild
What do you mean?
card, but because they fight over who's the wild card, right? In the episode.
Well, it's Charlie. It's definitely Charlie.
Yes, but don't they? I thought they fight over who's the
No,
wild
they
card.
just keep yelling at him because he's being the wild card in bad ways. Like,
Oh.
he tries to set a gas station on fire, which is like, that's not going to solve our problems. Yeah, but it's what I want to do. He's like, we understand that, but you can't do that right now because we will die.
Yeah.
Like, we are at said gas station. It's like, for example, he like takes a big swig of gas into his mouth from an open barrel full of gas and then turns on his lighter and blows a fireball. And they're like, wow, I was really hesitant for you to do this, but now that I see that was fucking amazing. Do that again. Like, so they're just sitting there with open barrels of gasoline. So he takes another swig, and then Mac is like, no, wait. And he just blows the fireball right in his face. Just burns the shit out of him. And it's like, and then it cuts to the next scene, and they're duct taping a towel to the side of Mac's head because he's like got horrible burns on his face. He's like, I said don't do it! Like, he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was gonna get you. Like, it's like, what the fuck, man? So that's why he's the wild card. And then he cuts the brake lines of the van crashes and explodes. Because it's full of barrels of gasoline. Anyway, yeah. So Parker, I wanted to say that you were, I don't know what your role in the team is.
I think I'm the bird, right? I think I'm D.
I was leaning that way.
Yeah.
It's like you're the person that we pick on for no apparent reason,
Yeah.
but you actually generally have decent advice. You're the sane one in the crew that gets yelled over and ignored.
Right. Yeah. I think I'm D. Like at first, I wanted
Yeah.
to be somebody cool. I was like, nah, I'm D.
Yeah.
that's
So this is the problem: is Aaron is such a straight-laced, normal person that he can't be any of the Always Sunny characters.
No,
to my knowledge.
he's the straight guy. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
He's the guy in the scene. Like, these people cannot be serious.
I feel
that's-
like he's the lawyer.
The
they
lawyer?
Keep, like, yeah.
Exactly.
That could
The
be
lawyer.
good.
He's
The
exactly-
lawyer could be a good
Yeah,
one.
he's the one who they keep meeting. He's like, how do you people keep finding me?
Oh no! Oh, I think I got it. What if he's Cricket in the early years before we ruin him?
Oh,
and he needs to get away from us before we ruin his life.
I don't think he's Cricket because I don't think he'll fall for
Okay.
our shit. I think he just backs away. I think he's the I can't remember the name of the lawyer. What is his name?
Yeah, I think his name is Lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever say his actual name.
Exactly. How did you get?
I
in
know
there?
it's on like the nameplate in his office, but they never use his name in the show. I know that.
Oh, what if he's the waitress? Could he be the waitress?
I don't know, Aaron. Do you have a drinking problem?
That's
My doctor said I need to drink more.
Can you have a drinking problem?
Apparently, the answer is yes.
Because the waitress started with no drinking problem, then had a drinking problem. That could be easy. We could do that. I gotta take my chief slippers off. My feet are sweaty. Hold on. All right. Yeah, it's just I don't know. The lawyer's probably a good example, but he's just such a side character.
I can be a side character. It's all good.
Yeah, but I don't want you to be a side
No.
character. You need to talk more. All right.
I can't think of a recurring character that works better though. Like
Yeah. See, this just shows how not crazy you are, which is a problem because, we're exceptionally crazy.
I don't know.
Well, everyone
It's
on the
like-
show is very opinionated and 100% convicted in their opinions, and they're all insane. Where
Yeah.
Aaron's pretty stable in his rationale of things, and certainly doesn't just start screaming things.
Mhm.
Where any
think
one of us
the-
three will happily interrupt anyone and just
you
start
guys see-
screaming things.
Yeah. Did you guys see the episode where the bar gets reviewed by a newspaper and they don't like the review? So basically the review says that I went to this bar and it was without doubt the worst bar in Philadelphia. And I went there
I don't
and
remember.
basically it was just the four owners screaming over each other the entire time I was there, and I got terrible service. I was like, that is exactly our podcast. Like
Yeah.
that's
Well
like
done.
literally all we do.
Nailed it
Just
in one.
scream at each other and just yell over each other. It's so perfect. But anyway, they end up kidnapping him and doing things to his cat. None of which was intentional. So Aaron, how many games in are you with Malekith now?
4? Not a lot.
Only 4? I thought you had 3 last time we talked.
Yeah, and I played one against Jeremy. Takes it to 4.
But wait, because you played like 2 TTS games, then you played your son twice with Malekith.
Oh, I guess I did one round robin at my house. That would be 3. One with Jeremy at the store is 4, and 2 TTS is 6. So I'm at 6.
Yeah, and then you played your weekly match against that one guy.
I did not drop Malekith.
Oh, I didn't know that. I literally just edited it too. I didn't even look at the screen a single time. You guys took forever to set that game up, by the way. Like half of the game was just set up. I was like, holy shit. And then the game ended pretty quickly.
Well, he ended up trying to delete a building like 8 minutes in, and it took forever to get it back. So that was the problem you're probably looking at.
So what do you think
I was
after
I was
playing,
watching you guys like build lists and stuff.
Oh,
after
we're
playing
bullshitting.
with Malekith? Like, what do you think?
It's a very open-ended question. I don't think he's going to be a problem.
Meta.
No, I'm saying like in 6 months' time, do you think he'll be one of those big faded out guys that it's pretty scary, but you don't really see him in every list? Because right now he's in every goddamn list.
He'll be just like Hulk and Thanos.
Yeah. Okay.
He's actually he is
Thanos,
worse.
as in ruin the game for 2 years.
Well, no, he'll be more like Hulk. So he is actually the worst of the 3, in my opinion, competitively speaking, because he offers the least amount of displacement.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Hulk is really solid as a 6 because he's got the big health pool. He offers 2 different types of displacement. He punishes you after you start attacking him. So Hulk is great. Malekith just does one thing. He does that one thing, which is kill people better, but that's it. So I think Hulk
Yeah.
is a better model than Malekith, and is probably better on a non-point for point basis. What are you gonna call that? Just like you're talking about, you have 7 points. Who do you bring? Hulk or Malekith? You probably actually bring Hulk if you want a more competitive roster.
Yeah, I guess I could see that argument.
So
'Cause,
anyway,
right,
I think
nothing
you'll
with
still see
Malekith
a lot
is,
of
like,
him
guaranteed, right? Like,
probably
it's
in
all
real life
based
as
on-
opposed to TTS for anyone who
Does he
hasn't
get his?
painted him.
Does he get his throw regardless of damage?
On damage.
You have to damage.
I believe so. Aaron? Did we lose Aaron?
Yeah, we must have
Oh
lost
god.
him.
Don't tell me he set his clock to the wrong time and his internet turned off.
Oh no. It is midnight, isn't it? It's like exactly
It is
12
midnight.
noon
It's
right
exactly 12 midnight
Oh, no.
and he dropped.
now. Oh my God.
He's maybe they forgot about daylight savings time and like set the router to the wrong time.
Well, this kid's back in school, so yeah. it's
Yeah, for
possible.
people at home, he has a child lock on his internet that turns on at 1 a.m. And it had been off, but he said he was going to turn it back on this week. So maybe he set it for the wrong time. Let me message Aaron. So Parker, you still going to lean into Inhumans? I think with the amount of practice you've had lately, it's the right call.
Yeah, me too.
I just think for the next week, you should go out of your way to try and play into things you have not played into before.
Hmm.
And so Aaron will be a good person for that because obviously I don't think you've played Aaron's with Inhumans yet.
No.
And he's going to be playing the stuff that's really popular at the moment.
Right. I'm not too concerned about Malekith, like not in a big way, because I've seen Inhumans just every time I played against a big model, I've done okay. You put the model there, cool. +1 dice, and just get attacked. Attack.
So yeah,
attack,
the
attack.
+1 dice is relevant, but the issue I'm going to have is that he's going to have the damage to just pick whoever he wants on your side and get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he comes in and like let's say takes out Bucky, and he's going to go really late on the first turn because there's no reason to let you attack him on the first turn.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to really get any turn 1 attrition work. So on turn 2, he's going to have priority more than likely because he's got a 7-pointer. And he's going to just, let's say, for example, either walk up and daze Black Bolt or Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do then? Like,
Mhm.
can you still recover? You can't mod your dice against him. So the full reroll stuff, the single reroll stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting crits on defense and on offense. So that's a lot. Obviously, if you have Inhuman or if you have Ghost Rider in the list, that is a good balancing factor. But what happens when he just goes up and attacks Ghost Rider in that situation?
Mhm.
So your 5-pointer is basically never going to get to attack. And so you're going to be playing Deal with the Devil really early. So it's just interesting. I don't know how that whole trade value thing works out.
Mm-hmm.
So timing wise, I had a question about his whole. It's the same with Domino. When they spend for rerolls, did we come into the answer of
Oh my god.
what happens when you recal it? How many skulls do you get? How many crits do you actually get?
By the wording on the cards, it should 100% be whatever the final roll is. And you just because the skulls don't matter because it says on the card, and I'll read it verbatim just to make sure that I don't misquote it because we've had this issue before. Cloak of Shadows says, after this character rolls attack, defense, or dodge dice, but before resolving critical steps, it may spend any amount of power to use the superpower. For each power spent, space, choose one skull to treat as a critical for the remainder of the attack. So
But
it should be you're choosing a specific one, unless they are just and again, the rules form is where the rules form is. If I don't know what fucking logic loophole you'd have to jump through to make that make sense, but I'm sure that they have.
so the attack is different though than the attack roll because the attack roll is before that shit.
Yes.
So that's why. That makes sense in that fashion. Okay.
I leave for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden we're talking about the rules for him.
Yeah,
No.
I know, right? We
Your
tried
favorite
so
thing?
hard. It lasted an hour and 50 minutes. Let the record show.
I
That's
can't
how
leave
long
you
the
guys
no forum
alone
talk
for
lasted.
2 fucking seconds.
And so I'm actually pretty sure, Jeremy, that they've ruled it the opposite way on the rules forum based on messages I got from a fan. But again, I hate going to the rules forum so much because every time I read anything, it's just like, what logic are you using to make this ruling? And they never justify anything. They just say yes or no. I'm just like, are we reading the same words? Because it doesn't seem to be reading the same words.
So I was confirming or denying. I'm trying to figure out because I use Domino now in X-Men a lot, so I want to know, and I want to know how Malekith works. So at the end of everything and all the crits are paid for and all that shit, and they dump all the dice, and you see how many you got, and then you recal it. How many fucking crits do you actually get?
Do you want me to check the rules for him, is what you're saying?
I mean, I couldn't find it.
Or you want me to tell you my understanding of the rule?
I
As
just
of
want to know.
a week ago, there was an open question to...
Oh, I think that was by the guy that messaged me on Facebook. Let me see.
What is your current understanding of it, Aaron?
I don't have one.
Okay, so it's still kind of open, right? Like it's still
Yeah.
kind of
All right,
like.
so
what
if you were resolving this in a game, what would you do? How about that? If somebody, Malekith attacks somebody,
yeah,
full dice rolls, you spend 3 for skulls, you get all your explosions, then your opponent plays recal. What's the final result? Are you choosing new dice that will count as skulls?
Yes. If I overpaid and have extra skulls in the bank and then roll skulls in the recal, they will turn to crits. If I have
But only if you overpaid at the time of spending.
Yes.
Because you have to choose for each instance of the ability.
That is how I would rule it right now.
Okay.
but you're saying, so just to clear it up, you're saying, say you overpaid, you overpaid by 3.
Yeah.
So you had
basically what you should do is you should count the power spent as charges. And every time he says this skull is a crit, it expends a charge. Am I correct, Aaron?
Yes.
And so let's say in the initial roll he has 1 skull.
Mhm.
He spends 3. Counts that skull as a crit, rolls another one. He's got 2 left. That skull rolls into another skull. That one's also a crit. Then at the end of all the dice mods and everything, my opponent plays recal. I re-roll all of my dice, get 2 skulls in the final roll. I'll use my final charge on one of them to count that as a skull. Or as a crit. I believe that's what Aaron is saying.
Absolutely correct. It's the only way I think it makes any sense, which means it's wrong.
Yeah. Based on the previous ruling on Domino, I think that is the logic they're trying to use. But again, none of that is fucking stated in this rule. So
No, well, you just created a new core rule to the game, charges.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no rules that govern the way that this logic is being used. What I think would clean this up a lot and make this a lot more fair of a rule is, it should be a dice mod. Counting something as something else should be a mod, in my opinion. If you just want to say skulls succeed, sure. Like, but the fact that it's not dice mod that effectively changes the die face is stupid. Functionally, I think they're correct, but it's just a stupid logic train. Then they should change this to say, before resolving crits, choose skulls. And so it does not work after new dice hit the table. It only works in the initial roll. Just like every other fucking version of a crit. It's not only cool because your skulls will count as crits. It's way better than crits work. And so it's just dumb.
I wanted to, I know we got in a segue about the rules of Malekith, but I wanted to mention something to you, specifically Brandon, about my Malekith matchup. One key card that's in this list that is actually not super relevant most of the time, but incredibly relevant into big tower builds is Last Minute Save on Lockjaw.
I thought about that. The issue becomes if they daze you or KO you. Sorry, if they KO you with the first attack that you place, and then he just beam fours you. Like, it doesn't even matter where you go. And then he's probably hitting Blockjaw as well. And so he's just beaming 2 people instead.
Yeah.
Which, exactly, it's whatever. But also, if he does it on the charge attack, he doesn't even need to, because he damaged you, so now he gets to throw you. So you just die anyway, and the Lockjaw takes the hit too, because you throw them into Lockjaw.
Because Last Minute Save, if they damage...
Yeah, so I charge you, the Last Minute Save triggers on the attack damage. You Last Minute Save, place him within range of Lockjaw, now the throw resolves, throw you into Lockjaw, you're dead, Lockjaw dodges, and you're like, cool, that was a cool tactics card.
I don't think that works. Does it work that way?
I'm pretty sure. Let's check.
Because after attack is resolved, attacker would trigger. I cannot throw you because you are KO'd.
It doesn't happen after the attack is resolved. It happens immediately on days, which is during the attack resolution. Because it's during the resolve damage step.
You're right. It's in step 12. Yeah.
Yeah. So last minute save
no, you're right.
says I might be wrong.
No, I think you're right. Yeah.
When an allied character within 3 of that would be KO'd, Lockjaw may spend 3. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, I'm also pretty sure that's
because you're definitely 12. Not KO'd after the attack is resolved.
Yep.
I'm 99% sure you've actually done that to me, Brandon.
I have not, because I haven't played Malekith.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
You know what I mean. I've been
Yeah.
thrown into death from that.
Maybe I don't recall the situation if it did
It's
happen.
been like ever since Inhumans came
2,500 years. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Mm.
Okay.
So am I right to say the only tactics card that does give Malekith a hard time ish is like escort to safety? Is that really the only one?
Fallback.
Sacrifice, fallback.
Fallback.
Oh no,
does...
we talked about this in episode 99.
Missed
objective.
I think there's actually a lot that do.
Wait, why would fallback? Just because if he flubs the roll, he doesn't get to throw you back towards him?
It happens before damage. Is the only reason he's saying that.
No, it wouldn't work
Fallback,
if Malekith charges.
you still
it
do
would
the
not work,
attack.
right?
You still get dazed. Yeah.
right?
Depending
So-
on the model, like it's great for She-Hulk to have, right? Or Ghost Rider,
Yeah, someone who's gonna probably survive the first hit.
or
Wait,
Although
what?
not, yeah. 'Cause
Why would the first hit
it-
matter? You still get attacked
I
with
don't know.
fallback.
yes, no, it's an objective scoring piece.
Hmm.
So I think that's
if
fallback.
Malekith is trying to hunt down the objective token, you can
Hmm.
fall back before the damage gets dealt, and then when you're dropping the token, it's probably not in range of him.
That
Assuming that then he would have to spend a move action to go get the objective, which is something Malekith doesn't really want to do.
Got it. I had
But
the-
again, positioning is super important on if it's relevant.
right. I have fallback. I have escort to safety. I even have an inspiring monologue on the list. I don't know if that helps against Malekith, but maybe.
And again, like, who knows what fucking post this is? I've been looking at through all these posts.
What if I use last minute save on Lockjaw and then Indomitable on the character that he attacked? Boom.
I think they'd be super excited that you just used 2 cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'll be honest.
If you put
You could play Brace, like, that would be perfectly fine.
Right.
Because you're probably going to play Brace anyway.
I play patch up because patch up in Inhumans is great. I patch up for
Yeah,
4 or
patch up's
5
good.
constantly. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Malekith is. I mean, that's the point of Malekith, right? He's supposed to be scary. He gives people a run for their money. I think the only affiliation that feels less threatened by him is probably Shield. I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're the only ones who are not upset about seeing Malekith. They go, okay, cool, Malekith, whatever. I think.
Well, sure. I mean, if he kills one model, it's one of fucking 5 3-pointers that don't really do much aside from escape everything and kind of do kind of a little bit of everything. Like,
Mhm.
I think Malekith just eats other big boys and 4-point models pretty easily.
Mhm.
And can kind of dominate maybe a side of the table or whatever. And also, we haven't even discussed fucking Nightmare Phantasmagoria bullshit. That thing is stupid as hell.
I just remember it was really bad. I can't remember what it actually does.
Pushes you and AoEs you. What?
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Pushes everyone within 3 and then heals for everyone who was pushed.
That's right.
Yeah.
That sounds fair, right? 3's not that big.
I mean, honestly,
I think it's
Yeah,
a fine
it's-
tactics card. It's not. It's
it's
absolutely
really
worth
that
taking.
It's really that it's range 3 because there's a card in the game that already is like better than this, arguably. So, but it's only range 2 and it's on medium base, not large base. So.
Well, this one also gives a heal.
Yeah, no, the heal's good. It's obviously a good card.
Yeah.
It's just not insane necessarily.
So Parker, if I go Malekith into Shield, I just try to put Fury in the ground by turn 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So your trick is, how do you keep him alive?
That's the answer to Shield in general. Just like focus on Fury, because a lot of their things that tilt the game really hard rely upon him. So
It's either kill him or ignore him.
yeah.
Like, if you have no power, you can eye in the sky. You also can't do it if you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many terrible fucking rules questions about these fucking reroll or the crit
Oh, yeah.
mechanics.
I looked at it today and I couldn't find a clear answer.
You could spend an hour on here reading every one of these threads and the follow-up questions and still not know what the fuck's going on.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
I cannot find the original post I looked at when I was talking with that one guy about this. Which again is one of the reasons I fucking hate the forums. And it's not the forums' fault. It's the forums is the fault. Like, it's just a terrible way to try and keep track of rulings. Yeah, I think in my opinion, pretty much if it's not in the FAQ, it's up to the TO. And if you have a problem with that, it's your problem.
I can get behind that.
They have 30 seconds apiece to make their case. I will judge accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, you make your argument. Like, tell me if you want to show me a rules like question online
Yeah.
that will try and sway me. Sure, but like if it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to follow it because there's like how many times have this stuff changed? Because I know there's several of these that flip back and forth, and
Never.
ones that they just invented new rules later that have completely changed everything. Like the whole Venom and the Green Goblin's leadership thing. It's like, what fucking backwards logic do they have to come out with that explained why he gets to reroll the die? They had to say, well, Venom is the one rerolling the die, but the die is for another model. I'm like, that's not what the rules say. Like, you're literally making this up.
We spent a year trying to figure out how Wakanda worked with rerolls.
Yeah.
I
think, again,
it damn
I think
near
that
locked
was
the
a
game
horror.
up. Like
They made that a problem. It wasn't a problem before. We're going to choose to interpret this word to mean this one other thing. Well, it doesn't, though. Well, we're going to interpret it that way. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know, I think is the answer. I actually,
no idea.
actually, legitimately, I've been looking this whole time. I cannot find a single thing that says that you count the skulls after the reroll. It says that you can overpay, which is weird, but they don't say, like, I can't find any instance of somebody saying, what happens when you re-roll the skull? Here, maybe
Leprechauns
this
and
one will.
unicorns.
Yeah. Because to my understanding, every time you roll a skull, it is a new result. Even if it was a re-roll of a skull into a skull. It's still a new result. It's
Mhm.
effectively
That's
a
what-
new die.
That was my understanding. So
Yeah.
I figure that most of that shit gets douched out as soon as you get that next reroll
Right.
of everything.
And so if you just include Recal and like Kunlun training in your squad, and then Malekith is like every time he attacks, he has to overspend by 3 just to guarantee that the Recal doesn't fuck him. Like, yeah, he's not doing that. So, but yeah, I don't actually see anything in here that explains what happens if you re-roll one of the skulls. It does not mention anywhere in here.
I think it's still on the queue to answer.
Nice. Well, I can't even find the question. let
They
alone the
won't.
answer.
They won't post the question until they have an answer. It stays.
What?
It stays in moderator approval limbo until they have an answer ready.
What? I didn't know that. Is that a new thing? There used to be
Mm.
questions that weren't answered.
Ever since I've been on, that's the way it's been.
Oh my god, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you can't.
So those
yeah.
are all. Everything on the forum is approved, and that's the best we can do as a society.
Yeah.
Oh boy. It's not the Wild West, okay? There's rules, Donnie.
So, Aaron, besides Ghost Rider, is there an affiliation that Malekith doesn't like seeing? Is it Little Avengers or Steve Avengers?
Anyone with bodyguard makes him a little sad.
Mm.
Shield is not great because of Eye in the Sky. And then the other two ways to deal with them are displacement and or conditions. I'm not sure I really care. Like, I mean, obviously every affiliation has a tool to deal with them. Whether that tool is sufficient enough is TBD.
I would think Magneto throwing shit at him would be pretty good.
So one of my 2 games was into a Magneto Lockjaw team, and I just
Yeah.
owned them.
Did you?
Just kept throwing Magneto back into a corner, and he cleared out that corner of all the shit that was there. But once that's gone, got nothing else to throw.
All right, this is the dumbest thing I think I've seen for this specific interaction so far. Grand Illusion probability manipulation. Have you seen this one, Aaron? It's the Mysterio card interacting with the Cloak of Shadow.
Okay, no.
So the question is, you have Malekith attacking somebody under the effect of Grand Illusion, which says your crits don't explode and they're modded to skulls. The ruling is, just for clarification, probability manipulation and Cloak of Shadows trigger at the dice roll step, which is like step 2 or 3, I want to say. And so they will immediately be treated as skulls, which do not explode. Then, in step 9, is when the defender mods attackers attack dice step. They get modded from skulls that are treated as crits back to skulls. And that's at the end of step 9, they will be skulls. Then, in the following phase, they will become criticals again, is the ruling. At the next step, step 10, they become crits again.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
They have phasing?
I guess. Like, the modification ends, is what he says. Which doesn't make sense, because they should mod the instant the modification happens. They should go back to crits, because they're still treated as crits. But he says they stay not crits until the end of step 9. I don't know. As soon as phase 9 is over, so verbatim it says, they will then immediately become criticals again after the step that they were modded to failures is over. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't get my head wrapped around that one.
So crits turn to skulls. Then once they're skulls, when everything's flushed out, you can pay and turn them back to crits.
No, you don't pay. They just turn back to crits.
At what
They're
point? Yeah.
implying that the ones that you pay for automatically turn back to crits. Well, don't turn back to. They continue to be treated as criticals, not during phase 9, but in phase 10. Are you trying to look at this post, Aaron?
Yeah, I am now.
All right, I'll say I can message it to you, or I just put it in the podcast chat.
No, Grand Illusion and what is it?
I just linked it in the podcast chat.
Mm.
So I think the logic here being that they're trying to say that the Probability Annihilation and Cloak of Shadows are a persistent effect, and that the fact that you're not actually changing the die face because it was already a skull means that you're not modifying the die, which I believe would be incorrect, but I'm not sure. At least that's not the way I would imagine it. Because if you're treated as a skull, basically the rule says we are pretending that this die actually is showing a different face. Which is another reason not modifying things, but saying we're treating it as something else I think is a bad mechanic.
Yeah, I have to read these now. Illusion.
It took 3 weeks for them to answer this question.
Yep.
I don't know if that's like the normal time frame or not, but that seems like a long time.
Yeah.
It's officially late. We're losing Parker, and I need to go to bed too.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up then, and we'll finish this next time, or never, maybe. Hopefully never. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hopefully you had fun. See you later.
Bye.